This is the Mavic Air 2. Well, actually it's not. It's my Mavic Mini. In this video, rather than blabbing on and on about all the specs and features of the new Mavic Air 2, I'm just going to talk about 10 of the features that really stand out to me as a photographer and videographer. There's lots to talk about, so let's get going. The Mavic Air 2 can shoot 12 megapixel RAW photos. So what does that mean? Well, using the DNG format, we're getting uncompressed sensor data with no post-processing applied. That gives us a lot more latitude for making adjustments in post without sacrificing detail or quality. So you can bring up those shadow areas, bring down those highlights, make all the adjustments you want, and you're going to preserve maximum detail and maximum quality. The Spark was my first drone, and it has an advertised flight time of 16 minutes. Now, that's not a lot of time in the air, so to get around that limitation, I just loaded up on batteries, 6 to be exact. With my Mavic Mini, 30 minutes of flight time is just awesome, and it's really tough going back to the Spark now. The Mavic Air 2 has 34 minutes of flight time, and I think that's just about perfect. The Mavic Air 2 shoots 4K video at 60 frames per second with a maximum video bitrate of 120 megabits per second. Now, currently those two things are tops among DJI's consumer drone lineup. Two reasons that's great. One, the 4K 60 frames per second gives you the ability to slow that footage down to 40% of regular speed using a 24p timeline for some decent slow motion. And two, 4K with all that detail, well, you can zoom in, you can crop, you can recompose your footage in post, and that's just awesome. Now this may seem silly, but I really like that the Mavic Air 2 has quick release propellers. When I moved from the Spark to the Mini, I just didn't like those screw-in props. They're kind of a pain in the butt, and you're always worried about loose screws, losing screws, or forgetting your screwdriver when you're in the field and you need to change a propeller. So yeah, quick release props all the way. The remotes I've used with my Spark and Mini, well, I've always found them to be a bit fiddly. My phone won't fit in the clamps with the case installed, the cable's always a pain to line up, and I tell you, I've seen so many different orientations with these antennae, it's just crazy. But all that's gone with the Mavic Air 2's totally redesigned remote. The antennae are integrated into the phone holder, the cable sits neatly in the top, it has a USB-C port for charging, which is a nice addition, and best of all, the phone sits on top, which I think affords better sight lines and ergonomics. So it's a total rethink of this remote, and I think the design looks really good. Okay, let's be honest, drone flying is an expensive hobby. Unless you're a professional photographer or videographer making money with your drone, it can be pretty hard to justify the price. But if drone flying is your thing, I think the Mavic Air 2 offers a lot of high-end features at a mid-range price point, and as usual, the Fly More combo just increases that value. So I think DJI has done a really good job here of balancing price and features. The Mavic Air 2 is packed with many of DJI's latest technologies, both hardware and software. On top of the updated intelligent flight modes like Active Track and Point of Interest 3.0, DJI's Advanced Pilot Assistance System offers unprecedented safety and obstacle avoidance. And all of this gets me really excited because it just means that I can capture more dynamic shots with less effort and greater safety. I like the idea of HDR photos and video. We've all been there when setting our exposure. Do I correctly expose for the sky and settle for a darker foreground? Or do I properly expose for the foreground and blow out my sky? Small camera sensors have limited dynamic range, so I'm hoping these HDR features can give us a bit more range to create more vibrant and lifelike images and video. Another awesome addition to the Mavic Air 2 is the D-CINELIKE color profile. This is a much flatter profile than standard, with less sharpness, contrast, and saturation. And what that means is our footage retains more information and we have greater control over the final look of our shots. So if you're someone who likes to color grade your footage in post, this is a big deal. Okay, I don't think I've flown either of my two drones more than a kilometer away from me without feeling just a little bit uneasy. Both the Spark and the Mini use an enhanced Wi-Fi radio signal to communicate, and in the back of my mind, that's always made me a little tentative to go too far away. Well, the Mavic Air 2 uses OcuSync 2.0 and it has an advertised transmission range of 10 kilometers. 10 kilometers. That's just insane. Now, I would never fly that far away, but knowing that OcuSync 2.0 is there gives me a bit more peace of mind should I ever want to just drift out a little further. And one bonus thing here, guys, the Mavic Air 2 Flymore Combo Kit comes with ND filters. You get an ND 16, 64, and 256 right in the box. And those filters are just great for getting the most cinematic looking footage from your drone. And I do believe that's the first time that DJI has included them in the kit, so that's pretty cool. Well, that's it for this one, guys. Let me know in the comments below if you've been looking at the Mavic Air 2 and what features are important to you. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.